Today on NewsWatch, a decades-old policy on children in China changes, what it will mean for the nation. Reaching deep inside one of the most dangerous places in the world for missionaries. Follow Victor Marks on his mission to help the victims of ISIS. And
when we found out they had been killed for being Christian, we were very comforted because these were God's children and He took them.
Hear the amazing eternal perspective of persecuted Christians in Egypt. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Charlene Aaron. China has eased its painful one-child policy and will now allow all married couples to have 2 children. The big question now, how will this radical change affect the world's largest country? Heather Sells has the latest.
For decades, China's Communist Party has imposed its one-child policy on its people, demonstrating the government's control over some of the most personal decisions in family life. For millions of couples, the policy brought havoc and heartache.
Women are suffering. The suicide rate is 600 women per day in China. Much of it attributable to the chaos and frankly the heartbreak of having the state literally destroy your child when you wanted to have a baby.
The government introduced the policy in 1979 as a temporary measure, hoping to curb a surging population and limit demands for resources. Now it will allow 2 children per family. The goal, increase its labor supply and ease pressures from an aging population.
They have helped to create a declining labor force for the future, a rapidly aging society, a marriage squeeze for prospective brides and grooms from the gender imbalanced generation.
Still, China might not get the demographic boost it wants, as many Chinese have adapted to the one-child norm. For the Chinese church, however, the signs are promising.
The Christian churches are growing quite fast, and I think Chinese Christians will take advantage of this because they have the whole culture of love.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
An act of grace from new House Speaker Paul Ryan. The House overwhelmingly elected the Wisconsin Republican to replace outgoing Speaker John Boehner Thursday. Ryan began his term by calling for healing in the House of Representatives and backing it up with a promise.
But let's be frank. The House is broken. We're not solving problems. We're adding to them. We are not settling scores. We are wiping the slate clean.
Ryan, who is a Catholic, also called on the House leaders to pray for each other. He said Democrats and Republicans should pray to have a deeper understanding of one another. The Senate sends a comprehensive budget deal to President Obama today. The bill was approved early this morning. It aims at averting a debt default by lifting the debt ceiling until March 2017 and avoids a partial government shutdown and sets spending priorities for the next 2 years. Republicans Rand Paul and Ted Cruz left the campaign trail to vote against the deal and saying that it was excessive Washington spending. Well, calls for Senator Marco Rubio to resign are growing. On Wednesday, fellow presidential candidate Jeb Bush attacked Rubio for missing votes and shirking his senatorial duties in favor of campaigning. Democratic Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid also said this week that Rubio should resign. Rubio says he thinks that most Senate votes are so-called no-show-up votes and don't accomplish much. His campaign manager noted that Barack Obama didn't resign his Senate seat when he ran for president. The third Republican debate on CNBC is being remembered as a cage match instead of a debate. Wednesday night's forum left candidates steaming over the mainstream media's political bias, and now members of the Republican Party, including Ben Carson, are taking their grievances to the Republican National Committee, demanding change. Media Research Center President Brent Brozell said it's time to draw the line in the sand.
If I were Reince Priebus, I would make a very public declaration to all the other networks that are preparing to do these interviews that we want in writing a commitment that your moderators are going to ask questions, and they're going to be asked questions of substance, and they're going to shut their mouths the moment they ask the question.
Carson's campaign manager says that he will be reaching out to Carly Fiorina and Donald Trump. Well, as Ben Carson's popularity grows in the race for the White House, the spotlight is turning to his faith. Seventh Day Adventist Church is not well known, but that's changing. Church officials are unveiling a new website to provide some answers. It's called whoareadventists.org. And Adventists make religious freedom a very high priority and observe the Sabbath on Saturday. They place a very high focus on health, but not on politics, and urged members, even with one of their own running for president, to keep politics out of the pulpit. Well, the owner of a Christian printing company who refused to print T-shirts for a gay pride event is getting some big support, even from some in the LGBT community. In 2012, Blaine Adamson of Hands On Originals in Lexington came under fire when he declined to print custom T-shirts for a gay pride festival, saying that he didn't agree with the message. He offered to connect the customer with a different printer, but the Gay and Lesbian Services Organization filed a complaint against the company. The Beckett Fund is defending him, and several LGBT-owned businesses have also been supportive of Mr. Adamson's free speech rights. Well, the recent wave of violent attacks against Israelis in their own nation have raised the question of whether a third intifada is on the way. And while Israelis are well acquainted with the term, other people around the world may have a harder time understanding what intifada means and how it's linked to the violence. CBN News' Ephraim Graham breaks it down for us so we can understand the situation better and how we should be praying.
Intifada is an Arabic word for uprising. It's been used to describe revolts by Palestinians living in Israel. The first Intifada happened in the 80s and early 90s. The second took place from 2000 to 2004. It is important to know these uprisings were not spontaneous. Each happened as a result of Palestinian leadership teaching its people to hate the Jews. This strategy is then spread through the education system and the media. This latest violence has been labeled by some as the Third Intifada. It began last month when Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas said the Jews' dirty feet shouldn't go on the Temple Mount, the holy site sacred to Jews and also Muslims. Almost each uprising begins after Palestinian leaders spread the rumor Jews are going to ban Muslims from the Temple Mount. While this is completely untrue, it achieves the desired result of unrest. So, what's new this time around? The advent of social media.
It's like all of a sudden we went just, you have an explosion, so to speak, of stabbings in Israel. And that's not by accident.
Not only are calls to violence being spread online, so is misinformation. Take a look at these online posts like this with Israeli officers pointing guns toward a Palestinian kid, a cartoon that can be interpreted, "May God fill the hearts of Jews with fear." And as you can imagine, this is only one side of the story. You're not being told the story of Palestinians armed with guns and knives and taking after and trying to attack Israeli police officers. So failing to tell the full story, that could certainly lead to more violence. Chris Mitchell, our bureau chief in Jerusalem, reminds us how we should pray.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, to pray that these attacks would be stopped, to pray that the hearts and the minds of people would change so they don't think they have to go ahead and do these kind of suicide attacks just in the name of religion, the name of Allah.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about this conflict and what is happening in Israel, simply log on to cbnnews.com and click on the Inside Israel tab. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Coming up, a surprising reaction from the family members of men killed by ISIS. Hear their stories and see how Christians around the world are rallying to their cause. Well, all this week, we're bringing you stories of Christians under fire around the world as we approach the International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church. Well, try to imagine what it would be like if ISIS kidnapped a relative of yours and you saw their brutal beheading on TV. No one would blame you for feeling anger, grief, or even depression. But we found a group of Egyptian Christians who responded much differently. As Gary Lane reports, they are happy their family members stood firm in their faith.
I was very proud that my husband stood firm in his faith and that he didn't deny Jesus.
That surprising reaction is happening 150 miles south of Cairo, in the village of El Aour. Residents there honor the sacrifice of 21 Egyptians brutally murdered last February by ISIS. Their pictures are prominently displayed in the sanctuary of Virgin Mary Church. 13 attended this church. The martyrs left behind family members, like 23-year-old Mariam Farhat. She became a widow when the militants beheaded her husband Malik Ibrahim in Libya. She first learned of his murder when she saw this now infamous video on local television.
We were very sad for the first 2 days, but we hadn't seen the video. When we saw them in the video calling to Jesus, we were very comforted.
And that's why Miriam and other families say they are now joyful, not sad. Babawi Alham's brother Samuel was among those killed.
We were always praying that God would make them steadfast in their faith. We were very happy with what they said on the video, Jesus Christ, have mercy on us. When we found out they had been killed for being Christian, we were very comforted because these were God's children and He took them.
Although Samuel's wife and children now live without a husband and father, his family told CBN News their faith is stronger. They forgive the jihadists and even pray for ISIS.
I pray for them that God may open their heart and they may know the truth and know that what they do is wrong and then do the right thing. Jesus told us to forgive every sin, and we forgive them, and we hope that they can come to know Jesus.
Christians here in Egypt are encouraged to know they're not alone. Back in the United States, there's a growing movement among Christians there to demonstrate unity and solidarity with those who are suffering for Christ in the Middle East.
What we thought was, how could we identify and stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Christ who are being brutalized around the world for their Christian faith? What tangible thing could we do? What practical thing could we do?
Immediately, orange jumpsuits came to mind. Mahoney and others launched the #Orange Jumpsuit campaign. The movement has expanded to orange scarves, sweaters, and ribbons.
It's to remind our brothers and sisters that we love them and we're standing with them, and to remind decision makers here in America and across the globe, the free nations of the world, we cannot be silent on this issue.
Mahoney says the response has been amazing. Non-Christians have joined in as well.
A Jewish rabbi to stand in solidarity with persecuted Christians is dyeing his beard orange, which I think is incredible, and I can't wait to see that.
Miriam was encouraged after she viewed cell phone photos of Americans wearing orange.
May the Lord make their love grow and grow. We are very happy with their love. We don't deserve their love.
Mahoney says every 5 minutes around the world a Christian is killed for his faith.
People don't understand the kind of barbarism and brutality they are going through. And you know, when I visit persecuted Christians in the Middle East, there's one thing they always ask. It doesn't matter if it's Iraq, Syria, wherever it might be, it's this: please remember us.
And wearing orange on the job or at church helps people remember them.
I think people need to understand that if we do not act quickly, the public expression of Christianity may be extinguished in the Middle East. As Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survivor and Nobel Peace Prize winner, says, we must always take sides. Silence only helps the oppressor, never the oppressed.
Miriam also has a message for others who have suffered or still face danger from ISIS.
Don't be sad or cry. God will support us all. He will fulfill His promise that He is the father of the orphans and the widows.
Gary Lane, CBN News, Cairo, Egypt.
And we want to remind you that tonight you can participate in the International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church. You can join believers from around the world in prayer during a special 2-hour webcast tonight starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Just visit cbnnews.com to watch this exclusive live event. Up next, follow a former Marine and martial arts expert as he leads a high-risk missions team to northern Iraq. Find out what he learned and what you need to know. It is one of the most dangerous places in the world for missionaries and aid workers to travel, the area of the Middle East controlled by the Islamic terrorists of ISIS. But the need there is great. So former Marine and martial arts expert Victor Marks recently led what he calls a high-risk missions team to northern Iraq, where he documented what he found among a community known as the Yazidis. Take a look.
There's a people group called the Yazidis that have lived in the region, and actually they've lived relatively peaceful, yet when ISIS came, they were viciously attacked and pursued with a rage and a hate that can only be described as extreme evil.
I'll come back to village to take it our water with for my brother. Here someone told me IS kidnapped your family, and everybody was killed. Sorry. Me too.
It's a very, very sad situation when you hear the stories.
Fill her with the power of the Holy Spirit. Lord, that you would honor her, that she has stood for your faith.
Here on the front lines, right back there is an actual ISIS flag.
Basically, the way they have it right now is not destroying IS. It's basically just containment to just have that fight going. In the meantime, we're sacrificing so many people because we don't have the support we should get.
As they say, they're not just fighting ISIS for the Kurdish region, they're fighting ISIS for the world.
And you just witnessed some of the amazing courage of Victor Marks as he reaches to help those in danger from ISIS. Our Heather Sells recently spoke with Marks to learn more about his work with the people of Kurdistan.
So Victor Marks joins us now to talk about his work with the people of Kurdistan. And you were just telling me you've been there twice this year.
Yes.
And who did you take with you, and what was your reason for going?
Well, we got an invitation from the Kurdistan government, the regional government there, to bring in what we call a quick response team of trained counselors and trauma experts to help specifically reach girls that had been held captive by ISIS and bring hope and healing for their minds.
Wow. You, of course, were there to meet with the Yazidi women and girls who had escaped from ISIS. So tell us about that. Who are these women and girls, and what happened to them?
Yeah, you know, the best way to help Westerners understand this, whatever city you're from, it'd be like if an invading army came in and took over the city and people fled. Those who didn't were captured. Wives, moms, kids, girls would be used as sex trafficked commodities.
So this is becoming a revenue stream for them, capturing these girls and women and using them for trafficking purposes.
Absolutely, not only financially, but also for recruiting. It's part of the lure of new fighters, telling them, if you come here, we're going to give you a bride. We'll give you, a female to have sex with. And it's really a shame because these girls are just like our girls here. A lot of Christians even just kind of go, well, they're there, and try to push it out of the mind. But these are amazing, real, sweet girls.
You were bringing trauma experts in, therapists?
Yep. The situation was so extreme that really one of the best things we did, well, my wife came with me on this one, which was kind of radical. And she said, honey, when you find the girls, and I know you will, and that's my wife right there on the right, she said, you won't be able to hug them, but I will be able to. And it was simply hugging, showing love and mercy towards these gals and let them know, hey, the shame's not yours. Many are missing parents. Many are without dads. One 13-year-old boy that I met has no other living male relative in his lineage. They've all been captured or killed. I said, Lord, what can I do? And I felt like he said, just pray a Father's blessing upon them, because God saved them and is going to use them. There's a constant fear and anxiety that these children have. And unless someone goes in, starts to reach them and give them hope, I was even told that the reality is they'll possibly be part of new recruitments for future terrorist groups if we don't reach them. And whether we wipe out ISIS or not right now, which we should, because it's the opportune time to do it before they come here and affect us. And I've put out a video on our website and YouTube channel and Facebook and all that it's a warning to America. Because if we don't think that we can be attacked here in a strategic way by extremists, it's a bubble we're living in. And so it's not to make people paranoid, but let people know you need to be prepared, and we need to exact quick, swift justice overseas to stop it from spreading here.
Unique window in time. How exactly can Christians in the West help these kids?
Well, I mean, we went into a camp, and there was a girl who was severely burned, and we were shocked, and they brought us to her saying this is an extreme case. They didn't have hope, because actually other organizations come in, took pictures, and never came back and helped. We brought back the money they needed, cash, the next day, so she could get surgeries. So I would say find a credible, reputable, solid organization that is actually bringing aid, hope immediately to them.
Thanks for what you're doing there, and thanks for your time here.
You bet, Heather. Thank you for having me.
CBN is using Superbook to reach children in Cambodia. CBN teams recently hosted a Superbook Kids Club event in the Kampong Thom province. Nearly 1,500 children attended the event, and about 1,400 of them accepted Christ. Superbook also airs every Sunday morning on Cambodia's national TV station. And now CBN's Southeast Asia offices are gearing up for a major Christmas Superbook campaign that will reach children in over 1,500 churches in Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Praise God for that. And that's going to do it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues that you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. We'll hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day, and God bless.